Which ones would you guys have preferred to see?
Well, actually, I cannot ladder with anything except for Daria Rune at the moment, so I would have loved to have seen Daria Rune.
Very. Why is that?
I don't know, it just works for me. I don't know why it works.
What about for you, Mofo?
I don't know why.
Well, at this point, during the break, I sold my soul to Adamy, actually, so I can only answer in his holy name.
Wow, that was fast.
Okay.
That was fast.
All I see now is Adamy, actually. It's gonna happen at some point for Propillow here. We can't escape this. It's just in every single match. But thankfully not this game. But I'm very happy to see Vetu playing this deck again. I'm taking some notes on how he's built this, because this is the most impressed I've been with a neutral forest list.
I think I could agree. It's just definitely very, very interesting. And you know what? Normally I would say that a slower list like this would be subject to getting run over by Aggro Blood. He does have answers to things like Sylvan Justice, and he does have his Grimners and Elf Twin Assaults. And I think he's got a pretty solid chance of taking down Aggro Blood. What do you think?
Especially with that Sylvan Justice to mitigate some early damage. I was about to try to cast a Curse into drawing another Sylvan Justice or the Elf Twin Assault to demonstrate the sheer number of early game answers he could have here. But I think he has a plethora of ways to both heal himself, which is strange to say of Forest, and keep aggression far to the point that Propillow might have some difficulties getting in here.
That is really weird to say about Forest, yeah. And Vetu is able to evolve next turn, but if he... Propillow has set up a board that if Vetu evolves and clashes with the Vite, he will take 1 damage because of Vanya's passive effect. Very interesting how they work together.
I think that would be a pretty brutal hit, actually.
Ooh. Never mind, it looks like he might go for a Summon Bloodkin, just to flood the board and get value out of Vanya now.
That is a lot of damage he could go for. Urias is a bit more stable. But if he's afraid of losing the Vanya this turn, then yeah, I see a lot of value coming out from the Summon Bloodkin.
That play also has a lot of merit in the sense that it plays around Elf Twin Assault. It goes wide enough that you don't care. But Pure-Hearted Singer is a pretty okay evolve here. It's not amazing, but, you know, Hector comes down next turn anyway, so, yeah.
There's just sometimes turns like this where any evolution is really okay. You don't need to hit a bar of how many stats it needs to have. You'll mitigate the damage all the same. The only difference just comes in if Propillow evolves to trade back over it, and it doesn't do that much damage in return. But I'd say that's one of the strengths of Pure-Hearted Singer as a card, is he manages to take that damage away while drawing for more answers the whole time.
Right, and he could go for double Urias this turn, but I don't think he will. He'll probably go for Angel of the Word to fill out his curve. And Pure-Hearted Singer is an interesting card. You know, we saw that obviously in the spoilers, you know, but a lot of people probably thought she wasn't that great, yet we're seeing her in just about every control deck and any deck that's going for neutral synergy. What do you think of Pure-Hearted Singer? Do you like her?
At first, I was one of those people that wasn't impressed at all, because I had thought that classes in this game already have so much access to refill. With the existence of other cards also like Staircase to Paradise, I didn't think that she would be needed. And maybe she isn't needed, but that doesn't mean she's not useful. And I think useful is probably no word for a card like her.
That's a pretty good way of putting it. Yeah, I agree. She's definitely not useless, right? These Hectors, though, are pretty just door closing for Pillow's strategy. This is not good for him at all.
If he goes or does too much out of line and pushing past this Hector, manage to build something large enough, Vetu can just play another one. Otherwise, this doesn't look like a terrible Beauty and the Beast, but probably playing Hector into Hector could be a really solid way to just...
Hector into Hector. Sounds like an okay play to exhaust Aggro Blood of its resources. He could find a chance to play Beauty and the Beast and get away with it. But I don't know if that's what he's going to go for.
I don't think he needs that aggression here.
He's also at getting to the point where if he were to top deck a Sock Wheel, he could use Esful to completely wipe the board, so...
It's a lot of resources thrown into this board in hand state. Propillow now playing off the top of his deck, and we know there's another Hector going to shove half of this back off.
Definitely another Pure-Hearted Singer drawn here. So it's another neutral card to keep activating these Hectors. And Hector, if it doesn't snipe the Urias, will do 1 damage to Vetu, but I don't know if he cares. If you evolve it into the Urias, you may take the damage, but you keep your Hector very healthy. So Dance of Death is realistically all you can draw here. I guess Karabos is an okay play if he gets it, but his next card has to be live, or this is bad.
Yeah, I think these 2 Hectors alone have actually decided this. Depending on what Propillow draws, of course, there were things that could bring him back in, like Dance of Death. But in an aggro list such as this that relies on things like Karabos to actually find value, unless he drew back-to-back burns and try to finish him off here, he's just unable to push any combat damage further, which Vetu will only capitalize on.
This is a very interesting turn for Vetu. He could clear the board a bit, but I don't think he's too threatened by these followers. Realistically, if he plays a second Hector and goes face with the effect, he doesn't actually care about any Dance of Deaths, so...
I think there's some hilarity in the idea, actually, of using Ariat here, because it does kind of heal him if you count Hector's health as part of Vetu's.
That is true, yeah, it does. Only by 1, however, so...
I don't think he has to pay any particular attention to Vengeance. Propillow doesn't, I don't believe, run anything like Dark General or anything dependent on it.
He doesn't, no. He does go face, he might just area face. Yeah, he's gonna do it, wow, okay.
That seals it, or at least it threatens to seal it very quickly.
What does now that a Curse Brand Vampire has been drawn, he draws 2 1-drops back to back, and that is just unfortunate for Propillow. Runs out of gas, and Vetu's Forest deck with triple Hector, not really playing the 3rd one, but having access to it anyway, closes the game out.
I think that's one of the simplest, or the most clean-cut games I've seen so far today, actually. It's just a matter of these tempo swing wards and Hector. Didn't play around Vengeance, punished by Curse Brand Vampire, and it doesn't matter at all.
Completely punished by that 1 play .23. That is just far too powerful. What do I do about this?
Well, that out of the way, Propillow is going to have to try again. I think against Vetu's rune list, which I believe is D-Shift on the side, much more favored this time.
Right, aggro blood against D-Shift. We've seen this matchup before. Vetu, is he actually on D-Shift?
I guess you're looking for a fight.
I could check again.
He
yes,
is. Owl definitely is on D-Shift, right? So, right, yeah. So we've seen this matchup before. I think I think I did mention before, if we used ladder stats, then we would say this matchup has probably a 20% chance to work out for Dimensional Shift, and especially not with that kind of hand. That is just absolutely unfortunate.
Well, I see my boy Magic Owl, so I'm just going to sit back and assume Vetu could end it on turn 6 out of nowhere, as he did before. Or was that?
Well, he does actually have to have Dimensional Shift for that to happen, so...
True. That's a good point. So far, Propillow's opener is looking pretty fantastic as well. He could easily just play his Blood Wolf here and try to save up, or use a Bloodkin. Find something to do on turn 3, and then he has the combo with Vania.
Aggro Blood getting there. Rune has access to a Kaleidoscope, a Glow Angelic Snipe, however, though, so we can get rid of the board here.
Alright, cycling into Magic Missile is pretty good as well. Deals with both the bat he bounced and the threat of a Blood Wolf.
Right? Amazing that he gets rid of Blood Wolf. And Summon Bloodkin, obviously a card that'll probably save, so he can play on the same turn as Vania. So Blood Wolf will come down this turn, and the bat can be traded into. Realistically, it doesn't matter. The Magic Missile kills the Wolf over the bat, since the Golem is still alive there to value trade. So, or not to value trade, but just trade, period. So.
Perhaps if he is considering playing anything next to the Blood Wolf, he might have had a moment of pause to consider the Goblin, but again, does not make a significant difference that it only has 1 defense.
I suppose there could be some argument for Summon Bloodkin this turn. Never mind. Wow. He actually conserves the Blood Wolf even, going for probably next turn Vania. Bloodkin This is interesting, because both these followers do just die anyway. I guess the Goblin was so low impact he wanted to get out of his hand, so not kind of blow all his cards at once.
Right, I think I kind of like it, because saving the Blood Wolf means that when he does play it, it's guaranteed that he can convert one of his evolution orbs into 2 damage.
Mm-hmm.
And he does get.
And this is honestly enough of a good turn anyway. You're gonna summon 3 bats here. You're gonna do 3 face damage without having to really attack, and you're also getting rid of this owl. So having summoned that owl was interesting.
Mm-hmm. Perhaps Vetu is just very afraid. He knows his hand is quite slow, and his first evolve will be used on Merlin to find some more pieces. So he decides that it's not the most valuable piece in his hand. But I think Propillow's patience has been rewarded in that he continues to have an excellent way to continue curving with Blood Wolf and Vite, a full board that Vetu doesn't really have anything along the likes of Fire Chain to deal with.
Right, and realistically, you know, Vetu knew that his next turn was going to be Merlin Angelic Snipe, looking for things like Wind Blast to try and curb the damage that Propillow could toss out the following turn. But I think Pillow's established enough of a board. You know, it seems like kind of a weird thing to say, but he's got 2 1/1s that's stuck, and I think that's going to convert into enough damage. You can evolve the Blood Wolf here to play around really anything that does 1 damage, and this is going to be a lot for Propillow.
Mm-hmm. Gets to use his evolutions for as much damage as possible. I don't see a particular swing coming out anytime soon for Vetu. His hand actually just looks like a Flame Destroyer he can play beside a Wind Blast. So that's his last chance at a swing, but the Dance of Death we're staring at, waiting for it.
And it's just not quite as impactful as that. That small Chimera actually would be a great play, but it's just 1 play point too big, I guess, too expensive. He can only get it to 5 with that Angelic Snipe, which is just still 1 play point range out. So looks like the Flame Destroyer happens. Oh, Angelic Snipe as well, yeah, obviously.
Alright, I think the Flame Destroyer, yep, absolutely happens. Vetu, not afraid to play for tempo here, and definitely feeling forced here to mitigate as much damage as he can off board. So Propillow doesn't have enough damage to finish this off quite yet, and Urias is not a fantastic amount of it.
Well, realistically, Pillow just kind of has to draw any kind of gas at this point, since all damage done to Dimensional Shift is basically true damage in the sense that they're not playing healing. He's also not playing much access to wards. He has Golem Assault, but it's a very slow card if you can't play spells first because you're forced to enhance it, right? So there's not much mitigation as far as Vetu's deck goes.
Alright. Though, we have seen Propillow draw into 2 1-drops in a row in a time they needed a little bit more.
That is true, yeah. We did see him draw double 1-drops last turn, and he's already started that kind of by drawing Urias, because Urias is not very useful. Alongside Snarling Chains, it can kind of do 1 damage, and it's actually kind of funny how if Urias is not removable, you can't summon a board to Dimension Shift into, because Urias could kill you, so...
But I guess that shows us a bit of the value of Mini Chimera and that it gets to mitigate part of that. Right, 2 more
There's a Goblin starting it.
The chain of 1-drops that might just be awaiting him here, despite playing Erebos and the like. Actually can't deal with this Chimera.
I don't think he wants to. Realistically, he could just summon both of these followers. If one gets to attack and he top decks Razor Claw, he would have lethal, so I think that's the out Propillow should play for.
I agree with that.
For now.
Though
Unfortunately for him, another Mini Chimera is available, and there's Golem Assault. Actually, a string of wards could be assembled for Vetu here, which would make it for an amazing comeback. He doesn't go for either of those, actually. Okay, interesting.
He could still use it now, actually.
Right, he does get 1 board when he could have had much more of them.
Yeah, that's a very confident way to go for it too. He doesn't. He decides he doesn't need more of them. He feels if Propillow's been run out of gas at this point, 1's enough, and he can just seal it up really soon, even though he doesn't quite have his D-Shift out yet.
This is actually really interesting. With that Merlin top deck, he can continue to find spells. Vetu reversing the gas. Am I going to see Dimension Shift beat Aggro Blood in tournament? Propillow doing exactly what he did last time is drawing useless cards in the situation that he's in. He's drawing Goblin into Summon Bloodkin after a Urias, and none of those cards continue to mount any kind of pressure, especially not the pressure he needs to end this game.
So now I'm just wondering, is there anything left in his deck? Because this is the last turn for him. Vetu has this after this, and that's not gonna be it.
That, but no, that's not it. Yeah, I can stop the damage being on board as being lethal, but that dimensional shift closes it out. It's at 10, so he just does 14 damage. Wow.
Well, that's the way it crumbles, I guess, for Propillow. It's unfortunate to see him run out of gas so much, because even aside from being a sort of recognizable aggro blood list, there is also the case that he's playing Karabos in this, so it's not supposed to run out of gas like this, but just hasn't found the right time for it, I suppose. But that didn't mean his deck did not find the right time for it.
Right, the gas ran out in aggro blood, and he lost to a 10 play point dimensional shift. D-shift rune takes down aggro blood. What a day.
What am I watching? What just
What are you
happened?
watching?
The 20%.
Oh my gosh.
That's it.
The
It exists.
20%. Yes.
That's it. There we go.
Put the statistic up, quick. Go to Reddit.
Easy.
Go to Reddit. Dimensional shift is in. Buy it, everybody. We're gonna try to
Dimensional shift.
sell everybody on
Good.
dimensional shift stocks. It can now be aggro blood.
Yeah, D-shift.
There's one game that I chose to
D-shift stocks
observe.
Rise.
Yeah,
It's just
100.
90% of ladder all of a sudden. Just let's all play D-shift. Yeah.
100% win rate.